From hidden battery killers to engines that can destroy themselves without warning, these are 25 automotive nightmares disguised as progress. Modern cars are packed with features that promise unmatched convenience, safety, and efficiency, but beneath the glossy marketing lies a side the brochures never mention: a world where smart innovations quietly shorten your vehicle's lifespan while draining your bank account. After analyzing thousands of repair records and warranty claims, we uncovered patterns that are impossible to ignore. Some technologies fail so often that automakers are quietly stripping them from future models. Number 25. Panoramic glass roofs, the overhead money pit. Massive glass panels stretching across your entire roof might look luxurious and futuristic, but the truth is they are engineering problems just waiting to show up. These oversized windows act like greenhouses and trap heat inside your car, which pushes interior temperatures up to 35 degrees higher than what you would get with a regular metal roof. So now your air conditioning system has to work overtime just to keep things bearable, and that ends up destroying your fuel economy or electric range without you even realizing it. And the problems don't stop there, because those heavy glass panels add a lot of extra weight to the top of your vehicle, which raises your center of gravity and makes the handling feel more sluggish and less responsive. Plus, when they eventually crack or start leaking, and they always do at some point, you are looking at replacement costs that usually land somewhere between $1,800 and $3,200, depending on the make and model of your car. What makes it worse is that the adhesives holding those giant pieces of glass in place start to break down over time, especially when your car goes through constant heating and cooling cycles, and the rubber seals around the edges begin to shrink and harden as the years go by. And even though it's clearly a design flaw, most insurance companies won't cover the damage because they consider it a maintenance issue instead of sudden or accidental damage, so you are often stuck with the bill. Number 24. Low-profile tires with oversized wheels, the pothole destroyer. 20-inch wheels wrapped in thin rubber band tires might dominate Instagram feeds, but in the real world, they turn every single road imperfection into an expensive disaster just waiting to happen. That's because these setups remove almost all the cushioning between road impacts and your suspension components, so even a moderate pothole can crack a rim, blow out a sidewall, and knock your wheel alignment out in one hit, turning a split-second bump into a triple repair bill. And the financial pain starts immediately. Each replacement tire will easily run you between $250 and $500, and if the rim itself is damaged, you're looking at $700 or more for just one wheel. But the problems don't stop at rubber and metal. Your suspension bearings take a constant beating from the harsher impacts, wearing out far sooner than they should, while the added rotational mass quietly chips away at your fuel economy. Meanwhile, the ride quality becomes so rough that even short trips can feel exhausting for passengers. It's no surprise that many owners eventually downsize after their first major repair bill, sacrificing that Instagram aesthetic for something far more valuable: actual comfort and reliability. Number 23. Wet timing belts, the lubricated time bomb. Engineers once decided to bathe timing belts in engine oil, claiming that reduced friction and improved efficiency would revolutionize engine design. At first, it sounded clever, but in reality, it set up a slow-motion catastrophe inside the engine that most owners never see coming. Over time, the oil slowly breaks down the rubber, and as the belt deteriorates, it sheds microscopic particles into the lubrication system. Those particles then circulate through the engine, clogging vital oil passages and starving critical components of lubrication. When the belt finally fails, the results are nothing short of catastrophic. Pistons slam into valves at high speed, destroying the top end of the engine in an instant. Some of these failures happen before 50,000 miles, and when they do, the repair bill can easily top $6,000 for a full engine rebuild. Ford alone has had to recall more than 150,000 vehicles for wet belt failures, yet Even that doesn't cover the full scope of the damage owners have faced. Number 22, electronic parking brakes. The digital trap. Traditional parking brake levers have been systematically replaced by buttons and switches that control electric motors hidden inside rear brake calipers. While this change saves console space, it creates entirely new failure modes that can completely immobilize your vehicle. When these motors seize from corrosion, debris intrusion, or simple mechanical wear, your car becomes a very expensive paperweight. Unlike cable systems that provide manual override capabilities, electronic parking brakes offer no mechanical backup when electronics fail. Salt exposure during winter driving accelerates motor corrosion, while moisture intrusion can trigger immediate system failures. The repair costs become particularly painful, with individual motor replacement often costing up to $2,400 per side. But many failures require complete caliper replacement because motors seize inside their housings. Number 21, always-on connectivity systems. The silent battery killer. Modern vehicles never truly shut down anymore, and this constant activity creates battery drain issues that leave owners stranded at the worst possible times. Remote start apps, theft tracking systems, and keyless entry sensors maintain constant communication with cellular towers and key fobs. This persistent electronic activity increases standby power consumption from 15 milliamps in older vehicles to over 120 milliamps in many current models. The result spells trouble for battery longevity. Dead batteries after just 8 to 12 days of parking become common experiences for owners who don't drive daily. Tesla's Sentry mode can consume 12% of total battery capacity daily while parked, making week-long trips nearly impossible without external charging. Ford has issued multiple service bulletins specifically addressing overnight battery drain from connectivity features that refuse to enter sleep mode properly. Number 20, sealed LED headlight assemblies. The unrepairable nightmare. LED headlights promise superior longevity and efficiency compared to traditional halogen bulbs, but manufacturers deliberately seal entire assemblies to prevent any user service or repair. When individual LED elements fail, which they do with surprising frequency, you cannot replace just the burned out section. Instead, complete headlight assemblies costing $1,200 to $3,500 each become necessary for restoration of basic visibility. The sealed construction creates multiple failure points that never existed with serviceable designs. Moisture infiltration through failed seals causes LED driver board corrosion and lens fogging that cannot be repaired. As a result, owners of BMW, Audi, Mercedes, and Ford vehicles often face these costly replacements after only 40,000 to 60,000 miles of normal driving. In comparison, base trim models with simple halogen bulbs suddenly seem far more practical, where a quick $15 bulb swap solves the problem instead of a $3,000 bill. Number 19. Tire pressure monitoring sensors, the expensive warning system. Federal regulations have required tire pressure monitoring systems on every vehicle sold since 2007, but the way they're implemented ends up creating maintenance costs most owners never see coming. Inside each wheel sits a sensor powered by a small lithium battery that you can't replace. These batteries usually last 7 to 10 years, and once they die, the system triggers a permanent warning light that won't turn off until the sensor is replaced. Replacing a single sensor costs between $80 and $150, but the real expense comes from the process itself. The tire has to be removed, the new sensor programmed, and the system reset labor. That quickly adds up. Replacing all 4 sensors can easily run $600 to $1,300, depending on the vehicle. Cold winter temperatures make the problem worse by draining the batteries faster, and as sensors age, they tend to become more unreliable, triggering alerts for the smallest pressure changes that you would have ignored if you were just checking pressures manually. Number 18, capless fuel fillers, the contamination magnet. Traditional twist-off gas caps have been systematically replaced by spring-loaded flaps that supposedly seal automatically after refueling completion. While this eliminates the minor inconvenience of cap removal, these mechanisms prove incredibly sensitive to contamination that can disable basic refueling functions. A single grain of sand or small piece of debris can prevent proper sealing, triggering vapor leak codes and emissions system failures. And because the spring mechanisms inside capless fillers operate in a harsh environment where they are constantly exposed to fuel vapors, extreme temperatures, and road debris, they tend to wear out faster than you'd expect. When failure happens, it usually isn't a quick or cheap fix because repairs often require replacing the entire filler neck. That alone can cost between $180 and $350 for the part, and labor frequently adds another $400 or more for removal and installation. To make matters worse, most vehicles include a small plastic emergency funnel for manual fueling, yet these funnels often break or get misplaced, which means that when the capless system does fail, you might not even be able to add fuel at all. Number 17, smart alternator charging systems, the premature battery killer. Computer-controlled alternators now adjust their charging output based on driving conditions, and while this is marketed as a way to improve fuel economy by reducing parasitic drag, the trade-off is not as beneficial as it sounds. Instead of maintaining a steady 14.4 volt output like traditional alternators, these newer systems often drop charging levels to 12.8 volts or even lower during steady highway cruising. And although this slight reduction may save a fraction of fuel, it also keeps the battery in a partial state of charge, which accelerates sulfation and leads to premature capacity loss. As a result, batteries that could once reliably last 5 to 7 years under consistent charging now often fail in just 18 to 24 months with so-called intelligent charging management. Manufacturers such as BMW, Subaru, and Ford commonly use these systems, yet they rarely explain this charging behavior to owners. The fuel economy gain is minimal, often less than 0.2 miles per gallon in real-world conditions. But the financial downside is far more significant since replacing a modern AGM battery can cost anywhere from $220 to $450. And those expenses add up quickly when replacements become a regular event. Number 16, multi-speed transmissions with excessive gears. 8, 9, and 10-speed automatic transmissions represent the ultimate example of complexity overtaking reliability in modern automotive design. These systems cram multiple planetary gear sets, clutch packs, and control solenoids into spaces originally designed for much simpler 5-speed units. The physical space constraints force engineers to make individual components smaller and lighter, reducing their durability under normal operating loads. In practice, this design trade-off leads to harsh shifting, gear hunting, slipping, and even complete failures, sometimes occurring before the vehicle reaches 40,000 miles. The problem is made way worse by the electronic control systems, which often struggle to perfectly time shifts across so many available ratios, creating jerky or delayed responses. And when these units fail, the repair bill is anything but small, as rebuild costs can range from $6,000 to $10,000, assuming the necessary replacement parts are even available. Major manufacturers such as Ford, GM, and Ram have already faced widespread warranty issues with these high gear count transmissions, highlighting that more gears do not always equal better performance or reliability. Number 15. Button and dial gear selectors, the electronic confusion. Traditional mechanical gear shifters, which relied on direct cable or hydraulic linkages, have now been replaced by electronic buttons, rotary dials, and touch-sensitive switches that depend entirely on computer interpretation to engage gears. While this approach offers packaging flexibility and can free up interior space, it also introduces a whole new set of failure modes that can either strand a vehicle or cause unexpected gear changes. When these electronic systems malfunction, the consequences can range from mildly inconvenient to outright dangerous depending on the timing and circumstances. Something as simple as a spilled beverage can short-circuit the button array, while worn contact surfaces can prevent proper gear selection. On top of that, software glitches may lead to delayed responses or even incorrect gear engagement. In cases of complete failure, drivers often find themselves trapped in park with no mechanical override available. Although emergency procedures do exist, they are usually poorly documented and often require special tools that most owners will never learn to use. Number 14. Run-flat tires, the suspension punishment system. Run-flat tire technology allows continued driving after punctures through reinforced sidewall construction, but this capability comes with significant compromises. The additional sidewall reinforcement adds 25 to 45% more weight per tire compared to conventional designs. This extra rotational mass places increased stress on wheel bearings, suspension components, and steering systems throughout the vehicle's operating life. When run-flat tires sustain damage, they usually cannot be repaired, regardless of puncture location or size. Each replacement tire costs $200 to $480, and many tire shops don't maintain run-flat inventory. The promised mobility benefits often prove illusory in practice, as run-flat tires can only support limited speeds and distances after air loss. Highway driving becomes dangerous at reduced speeds, and many drivers still require towing when punctures occur in unsafe locations. Number 13. Haptic touch climate controls, the fingerprint disaster. Smooth glass panels have steadily replaced the traditional physical knobs, buttons, and switches that once controlled climate systems, all in the name of achieving a sleek, modern interior aesthetic. Instead of mechanical contacts, these haptic touch surfaces detect finger input through capacitive sensors hidden beneath thin layers of plastic or glass. However, this stylish upgrade comes with trade-offs. Prolonged heat exposure from direct sunlight and constant temperature cycling inside the cabin gradually degrades the delicate sensor layers. At the same time, oils and residue from fingerprints accumulate on the surface, reducing touch sensitivity over time. When these panels begin to fail, the consequences can be more than just frustrating. They can be unsafe. Critical vehicle functions like climate control, defrost systems, hazard lights, and audio controls may respond unpredictably or stop working altogether. The problem is even worse in colder months, since wearing gloves renders most haptic systems completely unresponsive. To make matters more expensive, replacement haptic panels typically start around $1,900, and installation requires extensive dashboard disassembly. Number 12. Start-stop engine systems, the starter motor destroyer. Automatic engine shutdown at traffic lights has become standard equipment on most new vehicles, marketed as an environmental responsibility feature. However, these systems subject starter motors, batteries, and engine components to extreme duty cycles that were never anticipated in original automotive designs. Some vehicles accumulate over 80,000 start cycles in just 3 years of normal urban driving. Each restart cycle eliminates engine oil pressure momentarily, while crankshaft and camshaft components continue rotating from momentum. Battery systems suffer particular damage from start-stop cycling, with special AGM and EFB batteries costing $220 to $450 each, but typically lasting only 2 to 3 years. Honda, Ford, and other manufacturers have recalled hundreds of thousands of vehicles for start-stop related problems. The annual fuel savings amount to less than $100 for most drivers, while starter motor replacement costs easily exceed $1,500. Number 11. Electric water pumps, the silent overheating risk. Traditional belt-driven water pumps provide audible warning signs and visible coolant leaks when they begin failing. Electric water pumps eliminate these warning signs by failing silently and instantly without advanced symptoms. When the electric motor stops functioning, coolant circulation ceases immediately, and engine temperatures spike rapidly toward destructive levels. BMW, Audi, Toyota, and other manufacturers have experienced widespread electric water pump failures around 55,000 to 65,000 miles of normal operation. The pumps themselves cost $350 to $500 for replacement parts, but labor charges often double the total expense due to difficult access locations. If engine overheating occurs before pump failure detection, cylinder head warping and engine block damage can exceed $8,000 for complete repairs. Number 10. Active grille shutters, the airflow restriction device. Motorized louver systems positioned behind front grilles automatically adjust airflow to improve aerodynamics during highway driving. While the concept boosts efficiency, these mechanisms must function reliably despite being constantly exposed to road salt, debris, and extreme temperatures. Over time, this harsh environment takes its toll. Actuator motors can burn out, and individual louvers may become jammed or stuck, either from corrosion or accumulated dirt. When that happens, airflow to the engine becomes restricted, often at the worst possible times. Under heavy loads, such as during summer traffic jams or while towing, this restriction can cause engine temperatures to climb rapidly, increasing the risk of overheating. Fixing the problem isn't cheap either. Replacement parts for active grille shutter systems typically range from $400 to $900, depending on the vehicle, and gaining access often requires removing the entire front bumper. In many cases, these failures happen before the odometer even hits 70,000 miles, especially in regions where winter road salt is common. Number 9. Over-the-air software updates, the bricking risk. Many modern vehicles now download and install software updates automatically through built-in cellular connections, much like a smartphone. But unlike consumer electronics, automotive control systems are vastly more complex and safety critical. When something goes wrong, the consequences aren't just an inconvenience, they can disable key functions such as gear selectors, backup cameras, or even the engine management system. Several factors can cause these updates to fail. Weak cellular signals during download may corrupt the files, while low battery voltage during the often lengthy installation process can interrupt programming. The result is sometimes catastrophic. Tesla, Ford, GM, and other manufacturers have all documented cases where over-the-air updates left vehicles completely inoperative, requiring a flatbed tow and dealership intervention. In certain instances, the damage is permanent. Some updates cannot be rolled back, meaning that a single flawed patch can leave a vehicle impaired for good. Number 8. Air suspension systems, the complexity catastrophe. Air spring and electronic leveling systems provide excellent ride quality when functioning properly, but they introduce numerous potential failure points. Single component failures often trigger cascading problems throughout the entire system. One leaking air spring forces the compressor to run continuously, eventually causing compressor motor burnout from overuse. And replacement costs frequently exceed $2,500 per corner for complete air spring assemblies, while compressor replacement often approaches $1,800, including labor. Complete system failures that affect multiple components can result in repair bills approaching $8,000. Many owners eventually convert air suspension systems to conventional spring and shock combinations for improved long-term reliability. Number 7. Brake-by-wire systems, the computer-controlled stopping. Traditional hydraulic brake systems provide a direct mechanical link between the driver's foot and the wheel brakes. In contrast, brake-by-wire systems replace much of this physical connection with computers, electronic sensors, and electric actuators. While this technology allows for features like adaptive braking and energy recovery, it also introduces new failure points that can compromise something as fundamental as stopping the car. Tesla Model S and Model X owners have reported sudden brake loss during routine driving, while Mercedes-Benz was forced to recall more than 200,000 vehicles due to brake-by-wire failures that resulted in extended stopping distances. When these systems fail, the repair process is far from simple. Specialized dealer tools and diagnostic software are often required, leaving most independent shops unable to assist. And if major components need replacing, costs can easily exceed $3,500. Number 6. Keyless entry and push-button start, the security vulnerability. Proximity detection systems remove the need for physically inserting a key, offering drivers the convenience of simply walking up to the car and getting in. However, this constant wireless communication between the key fob and the vehicle doesn't come without drawbacks. Because the sensors remain active even when the vehicle is parked, they continue drawing power from the battery. Over time, this can lead to complete battery discharge in as little as 6 to 9 days of non-use. Security is another concern, as criminals have developed more sophisticated signal amplification equipment. Relay attacks, where a thief boosts the key fob's signal to unlock and start the car, have become increasingly common. Insurance claims tied to these thefts have surged in recent years, and when the keyless entry system itself fails, repairs aren't cheap. Replacement modules typically cost between $500 and $1,400, depending on the component and vehicle model. Number 5. Soy-based wire insulation, the rodent attractant. Environmental regulations encouraged manufacturers to replace traditional petroleum-based wire insulation with plant-derived alternatives made from soy and rice. While these bio-based coatings reduce environmental impact during manufacturing, they prove irresistible to rodents who view automotive wiring harnesses as convenient food sources. Honda and Toyota owners frequently report extensive wiring damage from rodent activity, with repair costs often exceeding $5,000 for complete harness replacement. These plant-based materials also absorb moisture more readily than synthetic alternatives, accelerating corrosion in electrical connections. Warranty coverage typically excludes animal damage, leaving owners responsible for full repair costs. Number 4. Low-tension piston rings, the oil consumption creator. Automotive engineers reduced piston ring tension significantly to improve fuel economy during EPA testing by reducing internal friction losses. While this change produces measurable improvements during standardized testing, it creates real-world problems with oil consumption that become progressively worse as engines accumulate mileage. Reduced ring tension compromises sealing ability between pistons and cylinder walls, particularly during deceleration when intake vacuum creates the highest pressure differential. Toyota, Subaru, GM, and other manufacturers have faced multiple class action lawsuits over excessive oil burning. Once piston rings lose their sealing effectiveness completely, complete engine rebuilds costing $5,000 to $8,000 become necessary. Number 3. Sealed transmission units, the lifetime fluid myth. Many modern automatic transmissions are completely sealed, with no dipsticks, drain plugs, or service ports, supposedly containing lifetime fluid that never requires changing. This marketing claim ignores the reality that transmission fluid degrades through heat exposure, oxidation, and contamination regardless of container design. When sealed transmissions begin experiencing problems, complete unit replacement becomes necessary because internal damage cannot be properly assessed or repaired. Costs frequently exceed $7,000 for factory remanufactured units. Aftermarket companies now manufacture service procedures for many sealed transmission applications, but performing any fluid changes typically voids warranty coverage entirely. Number 2. Electronic door handles, the emergency exit blockade. Flush-mounted door handles with electronic operation represent the ultimate triumph of styling over functional reliability. These systems replace simple mechanical linkages with motors, sensors, and software to perform the basic function of opening vehicle doors. When electronic components fail, occupants can become trapped inside vehicles during emergency situations. Tesla Model S door handles have become notorious for failures that cost up to $1,200 each for replacement. Ford Mach-E electronic handles have trapped children inside vehicles when batteries became depleted. Emergency mechanical releases exist in most applications, but they're often hidden in non-intuitive locations and require special procedures that most occupants never learn. Number 1. Tire mobility repair kits, the false security system. Traditional spare tires have been systematically eliminated from most new vehicle designs, replaced by compact repair kits containing electric air compressors and tire sealant bottles. Manufacturers claim these systems save weight and provide adequate emergency mobility, but the reality proves far different when drivers actually need emergency tire repair capabilities. Tire mobility kits only function effectively for small punctures in tire tread areas, typically less than 4 millimeters in diameter. Sidewall damage, large punctures, or rim damage cannot be repaired with sealant injection. The sealant itself has limited shelf life, typically expiring after 4 years, and most owners don't realize it goes bad. When drivers use the kit, it can ruin tire pressure sensors and damage wheel finishes. Some sealant bottles have even been recalled for fire hazards. When the kit fails, it's tow truck time every single time. So, now you understand how modern car features create expensive problems while solving none. Manufacturers prioritize marketing appeal over engineering integrity, leaving owners to discover reliability issues long after purchase. Choose simplicity over complexity, and your wallet will thank you. If you found this video eye-opening, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the rest of this series.